Okay, so we're starting to make our gather brush. I've got my pencil. I'm going to draw the top of the casing. That looks a little crazy. Okay, so now I've got my guidelines, and I'm going to make sure that my anchor points are on the guideline, and holding shift, I'm going to make sure that they're squared off on the edges. Oops. And I'll do the same for this top part. On the guideline, squared off, and then we'll go to the other side and do the same. So I'm just moving this onto the guide, and then I take the anchor point, hold shift to make sure that it's squared off. Okay, so in order for this to repeat smoothly, this first anchor point and this last anchor point have to be on the exact same level so that when the brush starts to repeat, this section doesn't start down here. So we're going to use our align panel, but I'm going to select just that with the direct select, the first anchor point, hold shift, select the second anchor point. And we've already got our align tools up at the top here. They pop up. If you need to, you can also open the align panel. I want to make sure it's aligned to selection. And then I'm going to make sure that they're even. So I'm going to do vertical align center, which is this horizontal line. And it's moved those anchor points to be exactly across from each other. I'm going to do the same on the bottom line. There we go. And now here you can, if you want this to be, you can edit, whatever. Okay, so then we're going to start to add in our fold and drag lines. So I'm using the pencil tool and my Wacom tablet, and I'm just drawing in some fold and drag lines, and the pencil does make it easier. And then here you can also draw in between. Okay, then I want to add width profiles and change the line weight of all of these fold and drag lines. So we'll go to our stroke panel. I might even do, let's see what that looks like. That looks okay. Okay, so we've got the main part of our, I'm going to move this down because it looks a little crazy, of our gather brush. And I'm going to select the whole thing, make a pattern brush, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, so we've got our brush made. Now we can apply it. So here, I'm just going to draw a line at the waist and apply my brush. Looks a little big. So you can double click here to adjust size or scale and adjust the entire brush. You can always apply, adjust it here as well with your line weight. Personally, I probably would have gone back and edited this so that maybe these aren't as close together. This looks really gathered for this piece, but it would work, if you have something else that's super gathered. Okay, so let's say, so that's the making of the actual brush. Let's say you want to edit this brush so that instead of a seam line here, you have a stitch line. So what you're going to do is you're going to select your line. And this isn't going to edit the actual brush. This is only going to edit this one instance that you have this brush stroke applied to. We'll do Object, Expand Appearance. And if I go into Direct Select, you'll see that that one stroke line with the brush applied has now been converted into a bunch of anchor points and lines. So now I can edit these if I want. I can delete some if I think there's too many. I think this is interesting because I think this might be new to this. I'm not sure, but it groups them in repeats, which I thought was kind of cool. But for this, I'm going to ungroup. Yeah, and maybe this is a little too full for me. So you can edit it this way, manually. The other thing, what were we doing? We were doing where we wanted the line segment here, the seam, to be a stitch line. So we just need to select all of those, and then obviously we can make it a dashed line. We can change the line weight, whatever we would like. The other thing that's kind of cool, if you maybe want to simplify this a little, because as you can see, there's quite a few anchor points here. So maybe you want this to be more simple. Maybe you want your file size to be small, so you're simplifying things. You can, and I have to look up what it is because I can't even remember. Let's see. Object, path, simplify. Okay. So you go Object, Path, Simplify. Make sure Preview is checked. And you can see original had 627 points and my current one has 122. Sometimes it can get a little wonky, as you can see, once you keep trying to simplify it more and more. So just see what looks good. I think this looks the best. This will add a lot more. So it's kind of interesting to play with, and I love that it tells you what it was and what it is now. Click OK. And then sometimes when you do that after expanding, you may need to adjust some things. Like this looks a little crazy to me. But that's how you can expand, simplify, edit your brushes.